Yo, what's up, everybody? Bren here, back with my boy for Loco. Another exciting week. Pump token, obviously going up. Bitcoin, uh, pulling back the last few days. We'll talk about that. Crypto week in Congress. So much else going on. How's everybody else doing? Did you guys in the chat? You guys trading Pump Fund, or I'm sorry, Pump token? Yeah, I bought a ton of it yesterday. Talked a lot about it. Um, sorry, I talked a lot about it in some of these tweets yesterday. And then just in the last few hours, it looks like a wallet, I think connected to Pump Fund, has been buying back 100 to 300 soul clips at a time. So going up here, obviously, possibility it might be pulling back with Bitcoin if Bitcoin pulls back a little bit. But I'm super bullish on it. And we'll be talking about why I think it is at least a $10 billion token, and very likely is going to probably smash people's expectations as far as market cap goes. Um, and we'll be talking about Bitcoin as well, and why I think also it is going to likely move higher here soon, too. There's Crypto Week in Congress, like I said, a lot of big bills being, regulatory bills being voted on. But before we get started with that, let me know where you guys in the chat are at in the world. I always like to see where everybody is at. See where you guys are doing, what time zone you're in. But before we get started, for Loco, how you doing, brother? How's your week been so far?
It's good so far, man. I mean, of course, it wasn't as good as the start of the last week when it comes down to pumping, but price appreciation. But honestly, you and I were discussing it before this, and it's healthy that the market is taking a slight pullback here, and at the end of the day, we went up. At least when it comes down to Bitcoin, we went up from 107. I was looking at last Monday to 123,000 for one Bitcoin. I think it was on Sunday, right? So Saturday, Sunday. So look, at the end of the day, this is just normal, right? Like people need to understand that there was perhaps a little bit of we're going through a little bit of a cool down. We went up significantly, and so now it's just time for some to take profits, and perhaps for other tokens and crypto assets to start to outperform because it's been so far a Bitcoin a Bitcoin related season so far. And I mean, you can see in the dominance today's a little bit down, but we were close to 65% last week. So everything else is good. Just look forward to this stream and chop it up with you and the audience for sure.
Damn, just realized I was muted. But we're gonna get
Bring you
ready.
there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I was just muted. But no, just looking at the chat a bit before we get started. So you're doing very good. What's up, Huddle Wine? What's up, Juicy? What's up, Rojam? What's up, Andre? Hope everybody is doing well. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Obviously, Pump Token. Last time we were on the stream on Friday, I believe they uh, they had announced certain details about the tokenomics and such. And then obviously the coins became tradable yesterday. There was a slight pullback, but for me, let me pull it up here on TradingView actually. Um, to me, just chart wise, especially, it was just a super clean, beautiful setup. To me, this is just super corrective behavior. What we saw with the pump token was actually something really rare. Most of these times, these hyped launches, they'll come up with a lot of hype, even if there's no airdrop, pre-sale, whatever it is. There's a lot of hype, a lot of people looking at it, so there'll be some type of volatility, and usually dumps out or is just chop. But there was a really clean launch with this pump token, obviously due to the fact they didn't have the airdrop. I know a lot of people did sell off the pre-sale, but relatively just overall a clean launch. So seeing that, seeing this beautiful like corrective behavior where instead of it just nuking when it came and launched, it's like really choppy in this corrective like behavior. I see that, and then number one thing, and something I talked about in this tweet over here is that I just think you can't fade Pump Fund for the sole fact that they have the most resources and like the ability to create a war chest, which is just like a huge treasury. They have a huge war chest with the money they raised, and then just to be able to create a flywheel with buybacks and other things, which we're again already seeing today. So if you watched, I've watched a few interviews with Alon, and it seems like he has a really strong vision to make a run for it, like make a run for like not only Pump being a platform for meme coins, but to make something really big out of it. And in that case, right where it's at, a current $1 billion, whatever it was yesterday, $1.5 billion valuation, it was just an obvious buy. So I bought a lot of it, like six figures, uh, on the way down. And I think right here, as you can see here, yeah, I bought on the way down here, and yeah, it's been doing nicely so far. We've again seen some buybacks today, and as Cyrus pointed out here in his first tweet later on, it looks like they did like load up more ETH in that same. I'm sorry, more Sol in that same wallet. So I'd expect further buybacks, maybe some more announcements. But either way, chart wise, I think Pump Fund again for that reasons I named a second ago with the war chest, the good operator, the chart, the launch, everything. I think it goes to 10 billion plus, and then probably smashes way higher. It's again, I'm not really a Pump Fund coin trader, but again, I'm super bullish on the infrastructure, and just like again, what they have the ability to do, and I think the token in that case is very undervalued at around 2 billion. What do you think for Loco? What are your thoughts on the pump launch, the token? Where do you see it going?
Yeah. Yeah, look, my view is, and again, I think it's very bold is that the team is buying back the token so early on, and look, if you were one of the lucky ones that participated in the sale, I think you're close to like up right now at 40-45%, right? Even now, and you could have gone literally with pretty much any size, right? Because the liquidity on this, it's extremely healthy. So yeah, whether we chop around this 5 to 6 billion market, well, I guess FDV, I know the market cap is lower. I think it's completely fine until we find a footing. But I think you have to realize that a lot of people are still taking profit from the public sale. Many of them are in highly profitable trades, whether you traded it when you came live on Hyperliquid or just now on different dexes. I think it's definitely one of those that you keep an eye on, and I know that probably will chop a little bit more because when you think about like the roadmap they have is extremely aggressive. I mean, the vision, I like the vision. I think it's definitely something that resonates with the crypto crowd as well as the buybacks. So they're trying to kind of like replicate the Hyperliquid play a little bit here. And also interested to see what they come up with that dex that they had planned for. So yeah, I look. I think it's one of those that you monitor. I haven't really bought much yet. My play was to trade it. I think I did last week a little bit, but then eventually wanted to really see what happened after the actual public sale. So we'll keep monitoring, and likely we'll go higher and grind higher over the next 6 months or so. But for now, just really looking and hoping that anyone that participated is doing well. But so far, I really like what the team is doing. So and if you're buying like Brent is doing, I hope you cooked. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great point. I mean, just looking at where price is at right now, it could definitely come down one more time. Again, if they just keep buying back, I assume it's going to keep going higher, but it could always come back down one more time. Overall, I think it's super, super bullish. I think the number one thing that's going to really propel it is just the conditions that we're launching into. Like, people just really like to
mhm.
like focus on like magnify just hyper focus on small moments, not really realizing where we're at in the cycle of things. And I think right now the biggest thing is that Bitcoin's going up, which is going to lead to alts and just conditions for alts and meme coins just being really good. So yeah, I think pump's going way higher. Of course, it could come down lower in the meantime, in which I probably would be buying more. But I see it in the next couple weeks to a few months, especially if they make more announcements. Bitcoin starts to go back up, at 10 billion plus, not diluted, but like current market cap. I think right now it's at about like 1.8, 2 billion, something like that. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Are you bullish on Pump? Did you guys play the launch? You make a good point for Loco that there is definitely people selling off still. I know a lot of people took like 20, 30%, like their free 20, 30% win, which like good on them. Like that was easy money, free money, right? But I think that's really what we're seeing in the chart right here is that corrective channels or whatever you want to call it, corrective behavior, I like to call it, is really just a reflection of sell pressure, yes, being there, but it's still there's still buy pressure in there and sell pressure drying up before the next big explosion up. So what this tells me is yes, there's people selling off, but also people accumulating. Or else if it was just straight sell off like a lot of these are, we would just see straight red candles. So yeah, I'm super bullish on not only Pump, but a lot of coins. I think we'll go into it here in a second. I want to hear what you kind of have to say on this too for Loco, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of freaking out right now that because I'm hearing a lot that, oh no, Bitcoin's at 120K, or it was a few days ago. Alts haven't even moved yet. Like this is bearish. Like this isn't good. I think overall you just got to look at like these past cycles. Like you just got to be patient. Sometimes Bitcoin moves for a few weeks and then everything catches up. Sometimes, like in 2024, memes will run before Bitcoin. It's really just situational, but I think all of these things are gonna run like the good coins, right? What do you think for Loco?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, look, I say we were mentioning like we Bitcoin went up about I think it was 107 last Monday, right? Not this Monday, last week to 123, right? So that's pretty much like a close to a 20,000 pretty much move in less than 7 days, and now it's about down 5%, right, from 123 to I think 116 or 117. So it's not really like that crazy. Of course, people wanted to go up non-stop, but you also have to take into account that there's a lot of things that happen in the macro side of things, and even though Bitcoin is trying to be less correlated to macro, it still is somehow correlated to risk assets. And so, I mean, we had inflation numbers come up a little bit higher. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think it was close to 2.7%. And of course, Trump goes in on his rants on Truth Social, I think it is, and on X, saying that the Fed should cut rates. Of course, he's got this war going on with Fed Powell, which I believe a lot of people believe that Fed Powell should stay, because if Trump nominates someone that is not him, I think I would think that the market, at least the bond market, will collapse. The bond market and the treasuries market actually really trust what Fed Powell is doing. So I think that more impartial decisions, impartial choices are actually good for the market. So you have that, and then I think he also tweeted about the crypto week. If you guys have seen it,
yeah. We'll
where
get
the
to
House will
crypto.
vote,
let's get into the
Yeah.
crypto week here in a second. Sorry to interrupt. But I do want to touch on what you said a little bit about Powell before we move on, and then touch a little on Bitcoin. Yeah, no, I've taken like a little bit, like a week or
Yeah.
so, to like kind of watch some videos and people, experts, people who are more macro oriented, and it does seem like it's probably pretty unlikely that Powell will either step down or that he'll be fired. Um, but in the if he was fired, I think that probably would be the most quote unquote bearish scenario where, like you said, like bonds would sell off and it would probably be bad or at least a short term shock for for risk assets. But I think what's going to end up
Mhm.
more than likely happening is neither of the two is going to happen. Maybe for a few months there's a stalemate, but eventually they probably will cut rates. Um, Either way, from what I've taken from a lot of people who I do respect in the macro realm, it does seem like, again, like we probably don't even, of course, QE and all that stuff would be probably fuel on the fire. I don't think it's necessary for
Mhm.
us to run in the next year. We could go, they could stall rates for the next 2 or 3 months, and crypto could and probably will keep running. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But I think what's most likely to happen is probably nothing. Like it mostly happens, everybody says nothing ever happens or whatever. It would be crazy if one of those two were to happen, but we'll keep an eye on that. Before we go in and talk about Bitcoin and with current price action and stuff, I do want to say if you guys could please like, share, retweet, comment on the stream again so we can get this out to more people. If you're popping in again, let me know where you're at in the world, what you've been doing. Did you play Pump? You've been buying meme coins. You bullish? Let me know in the chat. But yeah, for look, I do think a little bit we were talking about Bitcoin, but I think what we're looking at as far as price action wise is you kind of hit it right on the head. This is just a pullback or a at least a week or so correction that we see along the way, especially that we're now just clearing the all-time high. This is just pretty classic corrective behavior. The biggest giveaway for these corrections is if there's no consolidation and it just drops out of nowhere. Usually it's a correction, and what we're seeing here now too is 12 hours plus of consolidation. We could come back down a little bit more here, but just strictly chart wise, I think this is a pretty textbook coil up that's going to lead to more upside on Bitcoin in the next several days. Of course, this could take a few days. We could chop down a bit more, but I would say in the next week we probably move up higher. And as we get higher here, guys, like the biggest thing that's going to elevate the memes and alts is I do think normies or the general public and it's going to start to take notice of crypto again, and that's what's really going to fuel like a big influx of capital. But yeah, Bitcoin I think is just coiling up, is set up to move higher in the next several weeks to days. Even ETH looks even more fucking bullish to me. Obviously, a coil up into this kind of corrective consolidation. I think we can look at ETH Bitcoin here, but I think ETH's just going to rip. It's just we've been saying this again before these big bills were up in Congress, or back when everybody was still super fucking bearish on ETH. Like the biggest thing for me has been that ETH is going to be the biggest winner of this regulatory clarity and this like adoption of crypto because of tokenized stocks, RWAs. Most of that is going to be on ETH, so therefore ETH the token is going to be the biggest winner from that. So I still think it's extremely undervalued, and once we break this like $4,500 psychological level in people's heads, like that all time high from 2021, I think it's the sky is the fucking limit, and it probably hits 5, 6, 7 from there, especially with the deflationary mechanisms and all that good shit. So yeah, ETH, same kind of thing. I think even more so. And then Sol, I think it moves up too. I don't think I would really try not to fall into the trap of pitting these things against each other. This is something we talk about a lot on these streams. Is that like don't pit these things against each other. It doesn't have to be ETH versus Sol. I think both of them are going to run. I think it's interesting right now that everybody was so fucking gung ho on Sol, and now it's kind of switched. Like ETH is like that, and now everybody's kind of like, oh, Sol's performing like shit. I'm still super bullish on Sol, and if anything, I think is a great buy at this level, and probably goes to 300 plus as well. But before we move on from that, I mean, So for Loco, you kind of thinking the same? You think this is just kind of a classic pullback for ETH, Sol, and Bitcoin, and then we move higher to finish the month? Or I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, can you hear me? Well,
Yeah, bro, we can hear you.
okay. Yeah, I thought I had some connection issues, but yeah. So look, I do think that particularly ETH is definitely outperforming, and part of it you can see on some of the efforts that Tom Lee and Joe Lubin have been really putting on ETH strategy companies, right? I think that's I mean, it's not the next meta. It's already been kind of like circulating for a few weeks here or so, where pretty much after BlackRock started to buy ETH aggressively, we've seen other companies, other funds really accumulating ETH as the next asset. And I think obviously we're seeing anything on Ethereum really perform better than anything on Solana. And this is something that you and I discussed, and I discussed with my community as well. And that I think ETH will be the next one to run, and that will trigger what we call altcoin season, which I think is something that we hadn't had in a while, just because Solana was mainly powered by gambling and meme coins, which was a different kind of like sub bull run on its own, a little bit of a different way to see things. But yeah, I don't, I'm not concerned about what's happening with Bitcoin at all. And look, a lot of companies that are accumulating Bitcoin on the treasury also are trading at a premium. So you're also seeing stock related Bitcoin treasury companies taking a little bit of a pullback today. I think it's natural, right? Like everyone takes profits and then they utilize those profits to buy back more Bitcoin and Ethereum for the treasury, and that's how you keep that NAV, which is the net asset value, at a premium. So as long as things are healthy, the market looks healthy. Most people, I think I was just talking to a bunch of different investors that I trust, and the large majority of investors are 75 to 80% right now on risk, right? So that goes to tell you that no one really is scared about these pullbacks. Nvidia just hit a new all-time highs or is close to it, and that moved the stock market, even though some of the other Max 7 are flat to down. Nvidia was just like a nonstop freight train, right? So you just have all these positive catalysts that you just have to take into account. And again, we all called for all time highs in July, and it happened, right? So now just let it cool down a little bit, and things would just go in motion. So now we just have to see what happens. All right, obviously Bitcoin is losing a little bit of its dominance. Let's see if this actually is a positive outlook for altcoins, or if it just keeps doing its thing and it's just Bitcoin season forever. But hoping that we have an altcoin season here sometime soon.
Absolutely. No, yeah, great points. It's crazy to see S&P 500 just absolutely fucking rip and just go on this like kind of COVID like V-shaped recovery, which we predicted and talked about on this stream and on Twitter. So it's nuts to see that. And yeah, I think the S&P
Mhm.
500 rips higher as well. Whether they cut rates or not, I think it's just set up chart wise and everything to rip higher. It's interesting that the treasury companies, SBET obviously being one of them. What are some of the other ones you've been paying attention to or looking at?
I mean, you have Sharplink for Ethereum.
Yeah,
And there's a few other ones that were recently spun up. But like the thing is, there's still these. I mean, obviously, when you create one of these shell companies, there's two things, right? Like, obviously, you're buying the company at a premium. You know that, right? Like, most of these companies are trading at a premium of their treasury, whether it's Ethereum or Solana or Bitcoin or Hype. And so, what you have to understand is you're putting a trust in the team, right, to execute on their playbook, whatever that is, that will eventually justify its valuation. Otherwise, you would just buy Ethereum and Bitcoin directly, right? So these NAVs or net asset value valuations that happen within these companies, they have to eventually even out at some point, right? So as far as the price goes up and the momentum keeps going, I think we'll see this, keep going up. But at the same time, you also have to kind of like be cautious and see when things heat up. And I think last week was a momentum of euphoria after 60 days straight up good news, right? I mean, we literally have had good news and positive, headlines on crypto since April, right? Obviously, we had a lot of issues with tariffs and the Iran Middle East conflict that really kind of like hindered the growth, but everything kind of like came together. And last week, literally, we had the move that you and I discussed, right? You have those 20-30% moves in literally one or two candles, and that's why you have to be invested. So now, don't panic. And as you can see, that these are opportunities for you to keep accumulating assets that you believe in. So, yeah, that's just very very confident in this. I think this is just going to keep going up, not just Bitcoin particularly, but the economy itself is in a good spot.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would just again, it's just everybody's just focused on the last few days of price action. Just fucking zoom out. I think Bitcoin just coiling up and is going to move higher. Yeah, I'd expect a lot of the treasury companies might go bust if like there is some type of bear market in the future. But I'm sure just like MicroStrategy, there'll be a few that are very successful. So we'll keep an
Mhm.
eye on all of that. But yeah, it just seems like in obviously with the tariffs and everything going on, that there was just a bunch of obviously negative shit with the tariffs and obviously the turmoil in the Middle East that kind of dominated the headlines. But there was stuff in the background, like you said, with the regulatory clarity and stuff that's really now taking the forefront now that the other stuff subsided, which is great. So I think we're just gonna move higher with Bitcoin. Lucky says 10 billion. I think he's talking about pump 10 billion within a month or so, maybe 15 to 20 eventually, but they need to do more to gain mind share. Yeah, just kind of just gauging from what I've seen from the team and Alon in interviews, I would imagine they have a lot planned um, in going into great conditions for crypto. So we'll see. Wonka says Bonk has been going wild these days. What's your honest opinion on the launch pad? Like I said at the top of the show, I'm not really trading coins like straight off launch pads right now. So I'm not really using Bonk too much as well, but just from people that I've seen use it, friends. Obviously, it's been really hot. Pump Fund, maybe it does steal back more mind share or I'm sorry, like revenue or whatever. Um, for if they keep doing announcements and stuff. But I honestly don't have a strong opinion. For Loco, you haven't been trading off of either Launchpad recently, right?
For Pump Fund,
Yeah, like off of
no,
Bonk.
no.
No.
No, I mean, look, I really, I think it's good that Bonk is, it's a strong contender, right? Because otherwise, you would see another kind of like mini monopoly of this space, and I think it's healthy that you're seeing someone try to, compete with them. And honestly, if you really think about it, this is one of the most successful, ICOs we've had in many many years. So, whether we like Pump Fund or people like Pump Fund because of their extractive nature, I call it, with the ongoing, super cycle that we've had. That's one of the other things. But I do think that it is a positive outlook for crypto that we have these kind of ICOs with teams that are committed to buyback and really trying to build something that is exciting for the industry. So yeah, so I see you have the Happy Crypto Week thing on. I think the actual vote got stalled on the house. I don't know what the latest news are. Have you
Yeah,
heard what the latest?
I
Yeah.
was trying to read into it right now, and I'm glad Rocky Raccoon. Thank you for bringing that. That's a great question, brother. That was actually the next thing we're going to talk about. So I don't know. I was
Yeah.
trying to read about the being stalled in the Senate. I believe Trump said that they're going to re-vote on it. I think it's going to be similar to how the Genius Act probably was in the Senate, where it didn't pass at first, and then they went back and rewrote it to kind of probably have more middle ground or whatever. I think they change a few details, and then eventually probably gets passed. And then
Yeah.
obviously at that point, Trump is just going to sign it right away. So I don't know, Rocky. I'd imagine they're probably gonna just like they did in the Senate, probably make a few changes and then vote and hopefully pass it. I'm glad we transitioned to this. I think this is just extremely fucking bullish in so many ways that yeah, it probably contributes to the price moves and stuff as well. But what's happening now is, and I think I watched an interview from Joseph Lubin like on Bankless a few weeks ago, where he said it perfectly that over the last 4 or 5 years, like, or even since crypto's existence, it hadn't made sense for like builders in tech or like big influencers who have a lot of stuff to lose, especially to build in crypto because of the regulatory landscape and how Gary Gensler and all of them were handling things. But for the first time, this is what Joseph was saying. The first time, like builders and all them are going to be incentivized to build without having to worry. Um, and this is what these bills are allowing us to do. So yes, it's probably going to create some pumps in the short term and pump our bags, and everybody's going to be making money and happy. But the biggest thing is this is going to allow this industry to be here 10, 20, 30 years from now, where a lot of us are going to have, just longevity, right? And to make it so fucking big founders can launch an NFT project or launch a token without having to worry about, um, being sued or gone after by the SEC and stuff. So it's cool to see that not only this is happening and that, say what you want about Trump, like whatever, that this is being done, but also pretty quickly here. So I'm super bullish. We'll be keeping our eye on this, and hopefully, I'd imagine it does get fixed and they do pass it at some point. What do you think for Loco?
Yeah, I do think that it will get. I mean, I think there's a lot of emphasis now on stable coins, and I think we've discussed this many times. And you know, people are not like bullies on stable coins because they don't really directly have an involvement or a bag in it. But what you have to realize is that stablecoin companies are going to keep, being extremely successful, particularly USDC and the USDT and Circle, of course, as more. Think about it, like the reason why there's so much the new Genius Act passed and everything that is going on around crypto is in huge part, a big part for stablecoins. Because what do stablecoins companies do? They actually buy U.S. treasuries or U.S. debt, right? So who is happy about that? Of course, the U.S. government. That's why they're pushing crypto so hard too, is because these companies are literally accumulating U.S. debt, and that's another way to really see it, right? Like, yes, you are building technology, you are allowing people to to participate in the digital economy through through way less frictionless pretty much rails and less fees and just overall more global adoption, right? Ability to participate in the financial growth of the economy, but also the fact that in the U.S. You're helping to buy treasuries and really place the U.S. dollar and the U.S. economy still as the number one, right? So there's a
Yeah,
lot of back and forth positive feedback loop in between those two.
absolutely. Yeah, stable coins for sure. Like most of it, most of the stable coins coming in may not go into fucking SBX 6900, but I think, like you said, it's just Clemente put it really well in that like funny video he made. We showed it just grows the greater pie crypto. It's just great for mass adoption, especially if we do see the Amazons and the WalMarts of the world, whoever it may be, launch their own stables. It's just going to bring more people into crypto and get them used to and quote unquote conditioned to like digital assets and digital wallets, which I think is just the key. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
And in Japan, I mean, like think about it. Like, I mean, Japan has reported some like kind of like concerning numbers, and they've always been like one of the largest holders of U.S. Treasuries, right?
yeah,
And just imagine one of these two companies, whether it's USDT or USDC, being above the top five countries holding U.S. treasuries. These companies are gonna have a shit ton of influence in the economy and pretty much everything that's in the U.S. And I would say that even more than Max Seven at some point, right? Because if you are literally best buddies with the government, when they issue debt, you buy it, you are really reinforcing the pretty much the adoption of it. So
yeah, for sure. And then people asking about, will Pump Fund have an airdrop? Again, this is something they haven't announced yet, but I think they did put something in something they wrote about the Pump Fund, the rewards being anywhere from $30 to $2,000. So if that's true, I don't think they're going to be dropping an airdrop of like hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars or anything, which obviously for someone who's a big deployer and or a trader on Pump Fund may be disappointing. I think it's extremely fucking bullish for the coin, uh, because it means there's not going to be an ass load of sell pressure dumped on the market within a few days because again, these airdrops, whether it's the Pengu airdrop, the fucking ApeCoin airdrop, I can just keep going. Like all these big airdrops in the past, even if the coin goes up for a while, there's always that thing where there's people got airdropped hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, right, per token, right, or like whatever total. So there's always that sell pressure. Whereas the pump token, if they're only airdropping people $2,000, there's not going to be that inherent sell pressure. And yeah, I think that's bullish for the coin, and probably not very bullish if you thought you were going to get a huge airdrop. But I like it as someone who bought a lot of the pump token on the open market. Um, Embermain says Pump will definitely go higher in the coming weeks, but for me, the real play is Bonk, as it is the only team actually. That's a good point. Let's look at Bonk real quick. Definitely a good. Sometimes it's definitely a good move to like zig when other people are fucking zagging. Let's look. Yeah, my bad. This is Bonk on this chart. I know this is probably not the full chart. Let's go ahead and look at it on Deck Screener. Bonk.soul/soul. Okay. Wow. Okay. Emberman, I know this is 20 minutes ago. I don't know if you're still on. Fuck. Emberman, I don't know if you're still on here, but I agree, man. I think this looks amazing. It obviously made this nice correction with everything else to start the year. Came out of it, kind of retested and failed to break this low, forming this like higher low double bottom. Super bullish, peak like bottom pattern chart wise. And then that narrative, like you're saying, where Bonk, even though Pump Fund has the token coming out and everything, where Bonk has the other things going for it and whatever, like it might be a good move to be looking at Bonk when everybody's kind of focused on Pump. I think I like looking at both, right? Having a bag of both. I don't have much Bonk right now, but because you talked about this, I might grab a bit. I mean, it's 2x to the all-time high at 2 billion. I wouldn't be surprised to see this at 10 billion as well, especially with everything going on with Bonk.fun and what's it called? Bonk guy and everything there. So, dude, I agree. Great fucking point, Ember man.
Is there a real or is there something that has been announced from their launch pad or whatever that if you hold a certain amount of bunk, you will qualify for the TGE or some sort of reason? Because I haven't really heard much about it. I know that the guy that's behind, I think he's Unipix behind this token, and I think at least was one of the biggest traders, bunk guy,
Yeah.
um, was really like kind of like preaching it and talking about it. But do you guys know if there's actual
I
like
know that there's
verified news?
usually like some type of flywheel either there or being built. I'd like to hear from Emberman if you could like let me know in the chat. I know I'm really behind. But if somebody could look, Emberman, let me know. Is there some type of flywheel that I think gives revenue back to holders of Bonk or some type of buybacks or something, right? That differentiates it from Pump Fund. Again, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. Like I'm not somebody who uses either of these platforms at least lately. So I'd like to hear from somebody who's more of like a strong user of them. But I do believe from last time I was reading about it that there is some type of flywheel or some type of like something that differentiates it from Pump. So he says that the entire Bonk eco has a better risk to reward. That's fair. Thoughts on Say? I think Say looks nice, brother. I think what's going to end up happening is the top 5 to 10 L1s are going to run hard. I think that might be a lot. Actually, like kind of the most sure narrative out of any of these coins right now, other than Bitcoin, the L1s. Um,
Yeah, thanks everyone for retweeting the spaces. Really appreciate it. We gotta get this stream to as many people as possible. So appreciate you liking and retweeting and showing up today. If any questions, we will probably just take care of your questions right now and then move on to the next topic. But
Yeah, there's a lot of
um,
other good shit. Somebody's talking about NFTs. We're going to talk a little, like 10, 15 minutes at least on NFTs here in a bit, because I do think NFTs are in a super interesting place right now. And still think the consensus, which is crazy, is that, oh, NFTs are never going to see any speculative wave again. And it's going to be, whatever. And it's just going to be pudgies and nobody buying NFTs and prices going up. I push against that. I think we're going to see another second NFT bull run, but I don't know if you can feel it for Loco, but there's definitely like a shift on the timeline, and a lot of it is like the pudgy, like everybody changing their PFPs to pudgies and stuff. But I think there's like
yeah,
a vibe shift, and there's a lot of signs. Like even Rotes was pointing out to us a few months ago, a lot of stuff even in the behaviors of in the accumulation and stuff like that of these different projects. I think if
Mhm.
who knows the strength of the NFT bull run, I think it could even be even stronger than this first one because of regulatory stuff and everything we're talking about. But even if we got half of 2020 in combination with the crypto bull run, I think NFTs are in a super interesting place. So give us maybe 5-10 minutes, and we'll talk about that as well. Um,
Yeah, I
Wonka,
think
sorry, go ahead.
Embermain was saying that the platform is Let's Bonk and they already have a token, so there's no TGE. So okay, that solves really pretty much what we were
Yeah,
discussing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
They've had the token for
yeah,
long.
we definitely have to check it out. I definitely think it's a sleeper. Everyone's attention is on Pump right now, so definitely worth checking Let's Bonk.
Somebody said he said sold pump last week because of the Trump top three crypto tweet. Will there ever be a similar event? Will happen in the future after all the rug pull crimes? Um, because of so sold pump because of Trump. You talking about during the Trump thing? Yeah, no, that's a lot of debate. Everyone's like, "Oh, is there ever? There's never going to be a moment Trump, like Trump again." I mean, obviously, there's never going to be a moment where the president has a meme coin again. Maybe the next president does, but of course, it couldn't top it. I think there's a lot of ways and different celebrities or whatever that could top Trump, especially in good crypto conditions. But I'm not sure there needs to be like a as crazy a Trump moment again. There could be fucking 100, and there probably will be 100, 1,000, you know, mid level to like high tier celebrities or whatever launching NFTs, crypto. Which will add to just crazy mass adoption. Will there ever be a Trump like moment like that again? Who knows? I think it's possible. I think there's a lot of different
Yeah,
celebrities, musicians, stuff like that that could launch some type of crypto
yeah.
project of some sort that could do something similar. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I think Pudgy's hot right now, and it's been pretty much really the face of crypto for the last year or a few years, ever since Yuga and Bored Apes kind of like took a step back with their game, and actually, I think they have not just the Ape Fest coming up in October, but I'm actually excited to see what ApeCoin does because I think the game is coming up this summer, like officially. So I've heard a few people like rumoring like that perhaps a sleeper could be ApeCoin that has been hated for so long, yet it hasn't really had a move, right? Whereas Pudgy, or I guess Pengu, is almost close to I think that the real when he actually went live was around 4 billion, right? It's around what's the market cap right now? It's pretty much close to what it was
To
in January, right? Right. So it's right there. So I would definitely like to take a look at not just the Bored Ape Club NFTs, but ApeCoin particularly because they recently shut down the DAO, which was a big problem for them. They had a lot of critics of how they were using the treasuries. So that now is controlled by the main team, and of course you have the game coming up, which is really probably the last lifeline that they have to really bring back the attention, right? They were once the number one, and now Pudgy is definitely the number one, right? So one of the tokens that I'm looking at, just because no one really has paid attention to it, and if they're able to execute, it's probably it's probably a good candidate to do multiple X's. So yeah, this is definitely on my radar.
yeah,
Have you
no,
guys taken a look at it? Yeah, if
yeah,
you guys gonna drop in the comments, that would be definitely we can talk about it.
absolutely. No, it was a great segue. I think I want to talk about the NFTs and the coin. I think I've been talking a lot about with Can't Stop Me Now, my producer, my friend, and a lot of other people that I think these. I talk a lot about meme coin NFTs, but also Gambler brought up like uh, NFT coins. I think both the token and the NFT, like an NFT that has a token and then a token that created an NFT, there's going to be this flywheel and this connection. You already saw it with Zero Bro and Zero Born. You see it with the Pudgy and the Penguins. When one goes up, they tend to go up together. And I think there's going to be this flywheel of like whatever, even if there isn't an actual flywheel, they tend to track together and be correlated. And I think that's going to continue very likely with the if the apes do go up, which we can talk about why I think that's going to happen. I do think the coin, like you said, is a sleeper for sure. I mean, it's down over like 97, 98%. if even if even if Other Side doesn't end up being a smash hit and a worldwide sensation, I think even in the short term, with the NFT run, I think we're gonna have it. I could see, yeah, like I could see it could be at least the short to midterm trade. From there, reevaluate. I don't know if Bored Ape Yacht Club's completely cooked if Other Side isn't successful, but obviously it's a huge thing that they have been building for
Yeah.
years. And I do have a Coda and a few Other Side lands, a Mutant. I do
Mhm.
think, I would love to see that game just do really well. I've played around with it a little bit in the few tests. Whether
Mhm.
they do it, somebody else does it. I think there is going to be a quote unquote like metaverse where people can kind of go and hang out with their NFTs or whatever. And I would love for it to be Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Other Side to pull it off. And I mean, game's been in development for a lot of times. It looks pretty cool. And
Yeah.
let's hope that you know it it does well. But I think in the short term, we were talking about NFTs a little bit earlier. Bored Ape Yacht Club, Pudgies, chart wise have been consolidating. They made that run back in first with the apes and then the pudgies back in early or late last year. A lot of it was circled around the apes ran, and then all of a sudden pudgies announced Pengu, I believe, right? They both went on
Yeah.
the run. Suzuki went on a run, and now at least the apes and the pudgies, like kind of the two leaders, have kind of retested these lows from last year. What I think is going to end up happening here, because of a lot of reasons, regulatory clarity, a lot of hype bubbling up, I think this is going to end up being a kind of a double bottom of sorts, and we're going to likely see, of course, could come down a little bit in the short term, but I think we're going to zoom out here from 6 months from now and see this be a very big bottom for NFTs, including, and it's going to reflect in the prices of Bored Apes. Pudgies obviously already moving up 2x off the lows from last week. I think this is very likely going to be the bottom here for NFTs. Again, could see some chop for a while, but if we are able to clear those highs from late last year, the 25 ETH ape, the 30 ETH pudgy, I think these things are off to the races. And all it would take is some type of announcement with NFTs, whether some big person dropping an NFT project, some game, whatever it may be, to just really ignite the NFT market in general. And I'm a big believer that there is going to be a second NFT bull run, just like people said there wasn't going to be a. I mean, I remember back in 2018 after my first crypto bull run, everybody said, "Oh yeah, that was just tulips. Bitcoin will never see 20K again. That was just a one-time thing." It hit all-time highs, and not only did it hit all-time highs, but the richest man in the world was shilling Bitcoin and fucking Dogecoin. Every time that these crypto and these other cycles end, everybody says there's never going to be another one. I think the same thing's going to happen with NFTs, and I think it's, again, just to end the rant here, I think it's going to be led by the top IP projects, the top 3 to 5 IP projects, the Bored Apes, the Pudgies, the VeeFriends is my biggest bet, the Azuki, Doodles. I'm sure there'll be others that's brought up. I think there'll be
Mhm.
some art involved, like in the digital art, CryptoPunks, obviously, and then meme coin NFTs, which we can talk a little bit about, that I think are going to be really strong. But I mean, for Loco, for you, I mean, what is your view on NFT macro wise? You talked a little bit about Other Side, but I mean, how do you see NFTs right now in general? NFT prices, where do you see everything headed? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, look, you're 100% right. We're gonna have another NFT cycle or boom. Is it gonna look like the one that we had in 2021, 22? I don't think so, but I do think that what you mentioned, right? There's going to be the top pretty much collections that were leaders in the previous cycle. They will probably survive just because they have strong war chest and treasury that will they will able to execute on their vision. Hopefully, I mean, like the vision that Yuga has with Other Side is very very difficult to execute. I mean, like launching a game and trying to make that a profitable venture, it's proven to be one of the most challenging things you can do, just in general. So we'll see what how that goes. But when it comes down to NFTs and just the holding the assets themselves, whether it's art or PFPs, I do 100% believe that we're gonna have another run coming up. But I do think it will come a little bit later. I think I'm not sure that it's gonna happen like last time, where it's Bitcoin all time highs, then altcoins, then NFTs as you go down the risk curve. but I do think that they will come in unison with Ethereum going to back to all time highs, which I think, look, we're seeing already like outperforming many of the other altcoins, and showing strength, relative strength compared to other ones around that 3,000 mark, which I think they will eventually, because most of the NFTs that we like and we all respect and collect are on Ethereum, right? There's a few on Solana, but the ones that like BeFriends, Jack Club, and all these other ones that are actually building are on Ethereum. So anything Ethereum related, I think will do very well. My bet is it's not going to happen just yet, but I do think it can happen towards the end of this year. So perhaps Q3, Q4. Q3 is already here, so I'm going to say late Q3, Q4. I think we'll have another NFT resurgence. So those are my thoughts.
Absolutely, brother. I'm 100% agree. I think timing's hard. I mean, I started accumulating. I mean, V friends, for example. Um, I started accumulating. I think I have 33 of these VF1s and like 100 something plus of the VF2s. I mean, I'm fucking all in on these things. But I started accumulating in October, and I think even back then it looked like there was a lot of signs that we were going to get that run. But timing is just impossible, right? It's just all about just like crypto. Really, the best way, the most viable way to win in crypto NFTs is just buying and holding good shit and just waiting. Obviously, the everybody likes the daily runner, like quick shit, which is cool, but it's just the easiest like money with size. Again, it's just buying and holding good assets, and it's a lot more boring, and you get a lot of shit. People call you crazy at times, but it's just like the biggest gains I've had have been from stuff I've been holding for months at a time,
Mhm.
before they started going up. So yeah, I think V Friends, probably the biggest sleeper price wise. I think I see them because of the operator behind it and the ability for the IP itself, to make a huge impact on the world. I do think it is super undervalued and gets up there with the um, Pudgies and apes and shit. Eventually, that's my bet. But there's a lot of good stuff out there. I really like Azuki where they're at right now too, at 2 ETH. Obviously, I
Yeah,
think a lot of that is just due to I think people just don't think these things are going to go up in price, and they just assume
yeah,
that NFTs are going to be around. And they're just going to be digital collectibles for people to hold in their wallet and fucking play around with, which is valid. But I think these things are going to go up in price, and I think Azuki at 2 ETH is pretty fucking crazy.
of
Mutants at
course.
1.7, pretty nuts. And I think I'm going to buy a little bit more of these other side lands because, like you said, who knows? Maybe they hit a home run, and having other side
Yeah,
land gets you access to create money in some way, create profits in some way as well. There's a lot they can do with
yeah.
it.
Look, what most people don't understand is like the majority of tokens actually don't have any, whether it's related tight equity to to their companies or any actually use case. Like most tokens in crypto, I mean, like if you go down to Cardano or XRP, they will go up in price regardless of if they have utility, right? So if you think about all these other smaller cap companies, like, I mean, Azuki is one of those that they just keep building, and they have strong partnerships coming up. They have anime.com, and they have a bunch of things coming up. And it's one of those that is like surprisingly has underperformed. I mean, seeing it under 2 ETH or around 2 ETH, it's something I would never have imagined. Back in 2022, when they hit 40 ETH floor, I think I did for a while. And, obviously that was peak euphoria for NFTs. But now when you realize where Azuki was there and now, back then it was all a vision and speculation, right? Nothing really being built. Whereas now they're actually utilizing the treasury to actually create a company with proper revenue. So now utility tokens and utility based companies are back in the meta, right? So you have other side about to release. Pudgy Penguins just keeps delivering partnerships and grow for the digital platform as well as their toy product, and then anime with their anime show and their anime coin. It's just looking better and better. So now you have this divergence in between NFT prices and actually the company delivering that people are not really seeing, because most of them, they were burnt last cycle, right? So for them, holding an NFT has no value. But if you really think about where the cycle is going, and with Bitcoin hitting all-time highs and the economy, being more flexible, rates probably being cut in September, I think you're making a good bet on BeFriends. One of those that I realized that I didn't know they were so low, but still at a decent price, around 1.6, 1.7 ETH. And Azuki is a good bet. Other sites a good bet. All these are starting to come to a point where I'm realizing that people are not really understanding, how crypto really works, and NFTs will definitely outperform. And NFTs are way more liquid, so it's one of those things that is difficult to sell when they're going down in price, but it's going to be euphoric if they go up, just because of the availability of these assets, right? So non
Absolutely.
fungibility of the assets. So I'm excited, and perhaps I have to take a deep dive and start to buy some of these NFTs, as you mentioned. I know you already have a bag of Friends, but I might have to take a look at some of these other ones that I kind of like have forgotten about, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's definitely like I did some buying of. I mean, if you just look at my stuff right here, and great points, and I want to touch on a few of those points that you made, but I mean, just like the buying I've done, you stuck a lot to V Friends, bought a mutant, buy a lot of these wonky stonks recently. I have 17 of these. If you're looking for like a low entry to this kind of this NFT narrative we're talking about, definitely check out wonky stonks, especially if you're a crypto or look at charts. To me, they kind of a rare combination of the art. I think is pretty cool, especially again if you're into charts. But and also a great operator with Crypto Kaleo, which I'm sure most of you guys know. One of the biggest, uh, great guy. It's huge inspiration to me. But like one of the biggest accounts on crypto Twitter as well. There's like Murad, Ansem, Kaleo, all at like 700, 800,000 followers. So not only he's not only one of the most influential accounts on crypto Twitter, but he's very aligned and driven to make crypto wonky stonks. He says the top 10 NFT in market cap. So I mean, even if he got halfway there, man, like I'm a really big believer in this guy. Um, I'm just a really big believer in him, and at 0.05, going into this like narrative of strong NFT condition. Hopefully, I like these a lot.
Mhm.
But no, I agree. I'm definitely going in and looking, very possibly buying an Azuki, accumulating some of these other projects as things start to bubble up. Um, I
Yeah.
could really see NFTs transform right now. Obviously, like you said, they're a completely different thing than crypto in their supply and demand type of thing. Definitely treat them as like, more collectibles, especially if you're trying to buy and hold. But they're really collectibles with like programmable utility, and I think that we're going to see NFT projects do a lot of interesting stuff with these NFTs as far as
Mhm.
utility. I think this next run's a lot going to be driven by utility. I love VFriends. The last year they dropped a um, collab or a drop with Topps Chrome, which any of you knows anything about cards, which cards are the biggest thing in the world right now. Pokemon, sports cards, Topps is kind of the biggest trading card platform. VFriends just got like a release with them. The only ones that have ever had really releases IP wise are the Star Wars, the Marvels, Disney. There's like two other ones, and then VFriends obviously kind of way ahead of their time, getting one as well, making moves in the real world. For example, just I got one of these Topps Chrome boxes per VF1 I had, which was 30. Which the boxes were we got them at 100, and they're selling for 500. Also, I have a gift code NFT, which it's called. Is kind of like the whole point of the NFT is every so often you'll get a gift, big gift. I got a sapphire, which is like a rarer version of the cards, going for 7,000 right now. Stuff like that. I think the biggest NFT projects, a lot of it will be driven by utility and what the projects are able to do utility wise. But yeah, super interesting.
Mhm.
I think one more thing I think these NFT projects may end up turning into is eventually we'll probably see Pudgies do it first or VFriends maybe. Eventually, if they're able to with law wise, say Pengu or Igloo becomes a huge company and they go public, I'd imagine that these original at least the Pudgies, the big Pudgies or whatever would get some type of equity in the. I could see them giving some type of equity in the actual company, which would make these NFTs like actual like ownership, essentially. Of course, the laws may not allow that now too, but I think that may be an ultimate thing that might end up happening. What do you think about that idea for Loco?
Yeah, look, we already seen the on-chain stocks, right? Like that literally was like a few weeks ago, and I feel like people have forgotten about it, right? Like, but what you have to understand is, there's more and more like integration in between traditional market or capital markets and crypto that at some point we would be not able to distinguish, right? So right now you just have NFTs, you have tokens, and then perhaps you have an ETF, and they're all separated, right? At some point, all of those will integrate in a way that you won't be able to really see, and whether it's like issuing or owning equity in a way or the other one, it will be seamless, right? So we still see this friction, right, where people want to buy crypto assets, but if you've seen the stock market, like Coinbase, Robinhood, and all these MicroStrategy stock related or crypto related stocks have been outperforming crypto tokens just because you have the ability for millions of people and funds to be able to utilize traditional finance rails to accumulate. Whereas this, I think, in the next year or so, less than that, we're gonna see the opposite. On-chain activity through stable coins and regulation to ease this investment and transition, right? From for many of these retail investors and funds to because right now what happens is there's a lot of mandates, right? Like if you're a hedge fund manager or someone that manages your clients or family office funds, you have the reluctancy to own anything in crypto just because of security and other concerns, right? But once that becomes globally adopted, and you're going to see all these, whether it's these different crypto instruments be pretty much globally adopted and pretty much same as equities right now, right? So right now it's still a little bit like sounds like you know completely out of the scope for most investors, but I do think NFTs, just like you mentioned, trading cards, and we have a fantasy top. We used to have NBA Top Shop. All these things are going to start to become. I mean, you have prediction markets. They're going to start to become so correlated and so integrated with each other that it will be pretty much like owning equity in a company at some point. So I'm excited for what's to come, and I think you should have conviction in specific projects that you believe in, and then just buy across all the product offerings that they they actually offer. And it's more of a bet on the team, like you would do in a startup,
Yep,
than just buying randomly. Just bet on the operators of these projects, and you will
100%.
do well whether you're holding the NFT, the token, or the stock.
100%. And like that's why like it took me a while to where I really because in NFT world in 2021, like I just didn't have as much capital and I just didn't have as much conviction. I kind of doubled down on crypto and charts and during that time and played in NFTs a little bit. But like really took me a while to watch Gary V's videos, other videos about the macro stuff about NFTs to realize that people call apes, pudgies, V friends, I guess, like PFP projects and categorize them as that. It's just like the art and whatever. When in reality, we got to think of these as IP projects. Like for Loco just said, is yes, homeboy Lucky says it is all about the community, 100%, and that's why Pudgies are winning, and that's why people in V Friends are still around and stuff. But at the end of the day, the only way that these collectibles are going to be worth money in 10 years from now, or way higher from now, or whatever, is if the operators behind it make people give a fuck about the IP. Like if the IP actually gets big. So it really is a bet on the operators at the end of the day. Of course, the community matters, but it is a good way to look at it. Is I think these are IP projects, and the best operators, the best IP, is going to win, and those are the ones that are going to be worth the most, probably in the higher floor prices, right? And that has a lot to do with
Yeah.
the hybrid approach, is what they're doing in the real world, and then kind of the Web3 thing as well. And that's what I really like about what Luca and Pudges are doing is they've kind of walked that line between doing stuff, huge things in the physical world of having the toys in Walmart and having the gifts on Instagram being so massive, but then he still engages in the Web3 world, going so far as like the Pengu token and talking about how he thinks it might flip Doge, right? So to see him do both of those is, I think, why they're kind of at number one here. I think we're going to start to see other projects do more of that, like V Friends and stuff too. But yeah, you're 100% right for Loco. These are really bets on the actual kind of founders, not so much
Yeah.
the art itself.
And right now it's difficult to really, because these are private companies, right? It's small companies that don't really have I guess like set valuations where you can actually kind of like understand um, where the value is as an investor, right? But if you look at just companies like MicroStrategy and other companies that are actually publicly traded, and they're trading at 2 to 3x net asset value. I think we discussed it at the beginning, right? Why are people putting so much value into a company that is just holding the same asset you could hold without paying a premium for it? It's because of the operator. So that's going to translate into crypto as well. I mean, Michael Saylor, Tom Lee, all these guys are very well known in TradFi, but I think someone like Crypto Garga or Luca from Pudgy Penguins eventually will be globally known if they're not already, and people will put a premium on their assets, right? So that's why you saw at the beginning of the NFT bull run was a premium on speculation without really having anything built, right? Whereas the next cycle is going to be putting a premium on things that are being built, right? So I do think that the revenue meta and the utility meta will come back, but with more strength, right? With right now you're really betting on on the operator really having global adoption, and I think this is coming. So very excited to see how it plays out, and of course making the right bets. And I can see already the Azuki picture
Yeah.
there on Binance. That looks pretty cool.
100%. And, yeah, just to touch on what you're saying, I think we are going to see right now they're like the treasury companies, and you see stablecoin issuers. I could totally see as this NFT bull run kind of heats up that it'll be NFT companies going public, especially tokenized, and I see in that world that it'll become the norm if obviously if laws allow it, that possibly the top token holders will get equity in the actual company. And I think that will actually peg these top projects if the company obviously is big, to these high like 100,000, 200,000, $500,000 price tags, is if there's an actual equity play in it. And I think that's like something that might be a little far off, but very interesting. Rojam is the one who actually brought this to my attention. I think this is fucking sweet because obviously not only does it look cool as fuck, but it's showing that, yeah, the pudgies or whatever, it looks like there's like a whole NFT thing in general going off. It's not just around the pudgies. I think this looks sick as
Mhm.
fuck. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks very cool, man. I do think that people are trying to understand that, I mean, look, what happened to Grok? I don't know if you guys seen the Grok 4.0 and the new Super Grok, but I mean, like, you have these agents already, like, pretty much replacing people. And at some point in the near future, we will almost, almost really don't even be able to distinguish if we're talking to an agent or a human.
Yep.
And in many cases, whether it's an avatar, like you have NFTs or a video agent related, right? Like an avatar related for AI agent. This is going to become the new identity, and it already has become a global identity for companies, for individuals, for many. So I do think that not only looks very cool, but I think it's what is trending, right? You're gonna see bigger companies really adopting to the new generations, right? We're not dealing with boomers anymore. We're now seeing millennials and generation of course, a little bit of the X, so Zoomers and all the new generations that want to have a different way to participate in the financial world. So, yeah, I think it's just going to keep growing. And what it used to be looking like a cartoon, like something serious, will eventually become something almost like a standard, right? So now Binance, Coinbase are going to have,
Yeah.
Pudgy NFTs. They're going to represent crypto assets, and it just looks it looks very cool, and I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I think it might ignite. Yeah, it's just I love how they're using a different NFT. More of obviously Binance is a Asian based company originally, and at least that the founder, right? And of course, Azuki is Japanese anime, but I like the vibe there. Definitely, I like to have Zamog glasses too. It's fucking lit. Looks fucking super cool. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's super sick. Yeah, no, I'm already seeing the AI agents, bro. Like 80%. I'm sure it's even bigger for the people who have 50, 100,000 followers. I mean, my comments are
hmm
already like fucking ridden with freaking AI bots for sure. It's kind of tough unless you
yeah,
really have an eye for it and can look through to differentiate between even real and fake people. Yet, I right now
yeah,
I can imagine what it's going to be like in 6 months from now. So crazy. I think the best
sure.
outcome for Solana is for both Pump and Bonk to succeed. And yes, Dexter, 100%, and not or. I think both of these are going to do really well. I think what
Yeah.
people are missing is there's going to be an influx eventually of new capital coming in from normies, and at that point, it'll be pump and bonk.
Yeah. I also appreciate everyone in the audience commenting with news. Like Sajad Hamid, hopefully that's right way to spell it. He just said that the U.S. House will not vote again on pro crypto legislation per CNBC report. So it's great to have you guys participate and help us with news as they come, because things move so fast in this space that from 1 hour to the next you probably are missing key news. So thanks everyone and Sajad for bringing this up to us for sure.
For sure. Shout out to you, Sajad. Yeah, you guys, again, you guys, without you, you're half the stream. As you can see, we spend a good amount of this stream. I think kind of sets us apart. I don't really see this a lot of other streams of, this much interaction to have however many viewers we have right now, and this much interaction is fucking crazy. So shout out to you guys. Always love answering these questions and talking to you guys. Like for Loco said, Still Trippin says reposted the stream. Appreciate you, brother. Dexter says, sure, Brent, can you talk about your ETH conviction coins? Yeah, as far as meme coins, yeah, definitely meme coins as well as alts. We'll do that in just a sec. Bought some pump and Son since last stream. Fuck yeah, Son's actually looking pretty nice right now too. I really have been learning a lot about it. Bought a bit a few weeks ago because of the guys, on the stream. I think it makes a lot of sense. This guy, whatever the Son, the dog is Son, right? But the guy Kentaro or whatever has a huge TikTok following and is actually really engaging with the coin. Not just engaging, but like I think working with it, the team and stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This looks nice chart wise. Wouldn't be surprised to see this be at 50 or 100 eventually. Um, but yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Pump obviously I think is going to go way higher. I think it's already moving higher since we last talked about it. But let's see.
Yeah, it's around 6.3 billion FDB, I believe. So yeah, I mean, I think the all-time highs was seven or something, but I definitely holding up very well. So I mean, it's one of the only tokens that's green today. I think Pengu is still green, about 5%, and then Pump is up like 10% or so in the hour. So it's definitely one of the outperformers here. Good to see.
Yeah, Pengu looking really good here. We talked about it a lot on the stream at the very bottom with Max and everything like that, and then just multiple times. I just really love Pengu here. I think it's a blessing in disguise how it came out during a time where the whole market was shitting the bed, because these big airdrops usually have a big like tank, a big crash anyway. So I think it's a good thing that it happened while everything else is crashing, and now it's going up here. I'm a really big believer. If you guys haven't already, I'm a really big believer in the social currency thesis by Luca Netz. If you guys haven't already, checked this social currencies Substack by Luca, where he kind of breaks down this idea of social currencies, which he calls the future of meme coins, where sorry, I have to share it. Instead of meme coins just being a singular idea or something people are rallying around mostly on crypto Twitter, the next evolution is social currencies where they become big brands and movements with the token kind of at the middle of it. And I think Pengu is kind of the first pioneer of this thing, because they already do have a big established brand. And as you can see, he kind of breaks it down in this thing here. You definitely read it. I don't think he has it in here, but there's this little infographic where it has Pengu in the middle and like everything else they're doing around it. I think they're not only we're going to see every other NFT project do this, but big brands outside of crypto have a quote unquote social currency around their brand that people are going to be able to get exposure to. I think it's like a flywheel that not only, it's just like the ultimate marketing tool to have your biggest fans and supporters be able to not only have exposure but support you early on. I think this is going to be really big, and I think Luca's really on to something here. And for that reason, I think Pengu is a future $10 billion coin in crypto, good crypto conditions. Another one, if you're kind of trying to take advantage of this narrative I'm talking about with the social currencies. Me personally, the one um, that I've been accumulating the most, and I think is next up is anime. Obviously, the Azuki token. I'm gonna pull it up actually on Trading View. Probably easier to see.
Yeah, this is one of the tokens that really launched during a really bad time.
Yeah.
If you want to compare what like Pengu launched during a good time, of course, ApeCoin back in the day launched during a great time, and then
I
Pump
would
has
say
launched during
Pengu. I would say
what I
Pengu
think was
launched at kind of a shitty time though. No.
it wasn't too bad, right? Because December last year, I think, is when it really got like the airdrop happened, right? And they had a massive run. I mean, not a massive run, but they had a fairly good run from December to January. It was only a month if you kind of like really think about it. But the FDB was already very high, and then it's just like it was only from there, but not because of the token. It's what Lucas said a few later years. It's like, you know. Even if you're delivering and building shit, it doesn't really matter if macro conditions are not in your favor. So all that drawdown we saw from February to April wasn't really token related. It was really macro related, and it pretty much drew down everything with it. So I think right now we're back at where we were pretty much, and if you really look at it from from a year 2 year lens uh, the token, this is pretty much still what I believe under what it should be at, and not just because I have a position in it, but because I believe that a token like this or a company like this should definitely be valued higher. I think at its highest, ApeCoin was what it was, like 25 billion, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it
Like
was a
crazy
fairly
value.
large market cap. I mean, yeah. So yeah, definitely 10 billion, very possible. I don't know if anyone in the comments, you guys said that 10 billion is possible. It is most definitely. And anime never really took off. I think the sentiment around Asuki has been mixed, but I think the team, if I'm not mistaken, is in LA, or a big part of the team is in LA, and they seem to be building, and they seem to be delivering. So just one of those that definitely looking to buy, as well as an Asuki NFT for sure.
No, yeah, absolutely. Great points. I think anime. Uh, you're right. They launched it at kind of shitty times or whatever, and I think it's going to end up being a blessing in disguise. I really like anime chart wise and just everything. I think as the NFTs go up, it's going to be a I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I think Bitcoin's going to follow and be correlated with the NFTs, like we've seen already with Pengu and yeah, like even eight or at least short term to see what happens. Very possibly could make a massive run from here if other side again is at all successful or at all makes waves. Somebody says over 10K new NFT wallets buy their first NFT every day on Ethereum. 100%. I think the NFT bull run is a matter of time. Yes. Dexter, you're on fire with the fucking comments today, bro. Regardless of what Bitcoin, do I truly think on chain season is going to heat up in the next few weeks? Next few weeks, I don't know, bro. Timing's always impossible, but I would say in the coming months, meme coin conditions, altcoin conditions will be a lot stronger, and prices of a lot of these coins will be a lot higher than they are now. As a result, very informative. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you, Lucky. Wonka says, "When's the next time you think we'll get a massive influx of Sui?" I think Sui's going to run in the coming months too, man. What happens? Pengu ETF gets delayed. I wouldn't make too much of it. I've heard a lot of people say that the Pengu ETF is probably a long shot to get approved. Actually, at least on the first one, because of the Howey test. How anything outside of Bitcoin and ETH that aren't commodities are going to be tough to get like an ETF, but we'll see. I think it's bullish that they're even being considered for any of these institutional type things. And I've been fucking around with abstract. Let me know, Sajad, have you been fucking around with abstract at all? I've been farming the airdrop on there. I'd expect again that's just to add fire to the pudgy fuel, and I think what they're doing there has a lot of potential to onboard a whole nother crowd onto crypto and blockchain. So for Loco, have you fucked around with abstract at all, like the actual platform, the chain?
No, I did for a bit, but then I stopped really. I know that they had some issues going on, but I definitely wanted to be part of their streamers program, and I don't know if we ever heard back from them, but
Yeah,
I do like that they are, I mean, they keep building regardless of the fact that they had, and it looks like the no, the ETF for Pudgy Penguins. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Although they had some, I mean, they have great contact with the Banek, right, and all these other ETF providers. So I do think there's some sort of like you know, there's some sort of stuff going on that might get it, approved sooner than later. But we haven't really seen any other major tokens aside from Ethereum and Bitcoin being listed. So maybe it's something for next year or maybe in a few years from now. Now, when it comes to Abstract, I definitely would like to see more things being built there. And perhaps I'm a little bit out of the loop, but I haven't really seen a lot of like successful projects coming out of Abstract just yet. Have you?
So far, I think it's a conditions thing. Like there was a when it first launched, there was a couple coins like Newt and Abster and a few of those other ones that kind of ran. I've been keeping an eye on them. There's a few that have kind of, and I was listening to a space by Luca, and he said in not so many words, and of course he has to be careful what he says. He's a founder and stuff, but he's pretty much in not so many words said that the meme coin ecosystem is very important to the Abstract and Igloo Inc. themselves. So I'd imagine, just like we've seen with Sui, just like we saw with Soul, just like we saw Pump Fund, they'll support certain projects. And I think there's a few candidates. I think Newt is one of them that's called Abster. There's a few existing projects that I think will get some support and look pretty good here. But I'd imagine, like most of these things, that a lot of these coins will just come out once conditions are good. But yeah, there's a few candidates on there as far as meme coins. And somebody asked about, but yeah, just to close off on Abstract total. Yeah, I don't know when that airdrop's coming. I think it'll be. Uh, Luca has hinted that he wants to make Abstract the biggest airdrop in crypto history. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would imagine people who are even putting a few hours a day into Abstract, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a massive airdrop, which would be a huge win for a lot of these people in other countries and stuff. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Somebody's
How
asked.
would that happen? Are they really making? Is the platform make or the chain making revenue fees? I haven't really tracked the on chain metrics. I mean,
So
how would that happen? Would it
there's
related to like
there's
fee
different
or
games or
yeah?
apps on the platform, like a lot of them gambling related, which obviously collect fees. A lot of the gambling ones probably just it's like any casino. So obviously Abstract probably collects fees on that, and I think they collect a lot of these games are pay to win, and not pay to win, but like pay to where you can get extra things cosmetically and all this that. And I would imagine Abstract takes a percentage off of that. And like any chain, you pay fees back to the chain, and they
Yeah.
might take some off of that. So yeah,
So,
there's a lot
are
of
they trying to become like the Twitch? I guess that's what Pump Up Fun is doing too. I think there's obviously you have Let's Bonk, you have Pump Up Fun, and then obviously Abstract with the streamers. I think that that's really the looks like the path for many of these chains. And Pump Fun, they also they want to launch their own chain, right? So if you're not a DEX or like a trading per platform like Hyperliquid, you are going to be focusing on stream and adoption through influencers and YouTubers in this case, on chain, rewarded. I think it's a great way to do it. And if you look at what's happening on X, you are only really getting paid for posting now. But what if you can get paid for not just posting but also streaming?
yeah,
I think you a big audience from Twitch and all these other platforms
yeah.
that will come over.
The X payment stuff I think has been in the works for a bit, and I'd imagine they're just trying to be the everything app, right? So I'm sure they're building all these things at once. I'd imagine with streaming being the biggest medium now, live shopping being another one where they've had this in China for a while, where you can essentially it's like QVC, right? Where you buying straight from influencers. You'll see a lot of these big shoe stores and stuff. They'll have people just doing it on Whatnot and a lot of these other apps. I think Twitter will capture that. VFriends has really gotten big into that, which I think is bullish. You see people like Gary Vee who are always like really early on these technologies, saying that live shopping is going to be huge. I'd imagine uh, Twitter will tackle that as well. But yeah, we talked about the on another stream maybe that you weren't on, for Loco, about the Pump Fun um, stream model, and then whether people will flock to it. It'll be interesting to see if they can get
Yeah.
any streamers, and maybe it'll be somebody that pops off that does something crazy on stream, and people who got in early on their coin is able to get rich. I think that model, whether it be through
Yeah.
music or streaming or whatever, having tokens that allow people to get access or exposure to your career early on and support you. I think that's a super cool fucking
I
concept.
think there's three things to look at this, and I think you bring out a good point. Either you have a killer product, right, and then people come to you because they like your product, and then as a byproduct of being used, they make fees, and then they do they're able to reward them, or like Pump.com, like now they have a huge war chest, right? One of the best, if not the most healthiest funded crypto startups in history. They already have the war chest. So what they have to do is, hey, I have this much capital available to incentivize my streamer. Come here, right? So then you have streamers coming directly to the pretty much the the reward, right, or the prize. Either you gain them through a killer product, which I haven't really seen one. I have to look at the abstract one, or third, you have a mix of both, right? It's fairly healthy, and the product is good, but you still have to bring in the adoptions, right? So either the product and the users come first, and that creates a healthy, flywheel for the company to be able to reward, or you bring out the war chest and say, hey, I have this much capital, just come use it. And normally that tends to work at least in the short term for crypto apps. That's how I see it. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that they already have the users and stuff already, and then now that the fact that they have this war chest with somebody Alon who seems super capable and has a bigger vision, it'll be interesting to see whether this live streaming thing works out. But I think there's a lot of potential for that. Uh, Somebody asked when will Bossman join the lives? Yeah, Bossman and I we'll have for Loco on and stuff as well. Are gonna do streams, like a separate stream here. Um, Coming here soon. He's traveling right now. But for those of you who don't know, maybe you're new to the stream, we appreciate you. I'll take this time to maybe reset a bit. If you guys have maybe hopped on, this is your first stream, maybe your first few streams. We do these streams twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays at 1 p.m. like today, PST, and then 10 a.m. PST on Fridays. We like to do a hangout where we talk about everything that's going on in crypto. Talk about what we're doing, obviously right now. Obviously you can't see our faces. I'm going to do a face cam and go full on with the streaming stuff and with this year and add a bunch of other stuff on that for now. But we appreciate you guys being on with us every week. um, we're going to have guests on as well. I have a few lined up for the next few weeks to hear a lot of other people's stories. I really fuck with what Thread Guy's doing, having so many people on, and he's just doing it full on. Like that's his main thing, is just having these different people on every day. But I definitely want to feature. There's so many people on it, so many people out there, and I want to feature their stories that haven't really been heard yet. So definitely stay tuned for that. Definitely follow, turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Definitely check out. Well, first check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel. I know a lot of you guys are already in it, or came from there. But I spent a lot of my time in there. My buddy and I, Bossman, business partner Bossman, have been building it together for 18 months. Went from about 300 to about 45,000 members over the last few years. A lot of my trade ideas, like more in-depth analysis, tutorial videos, giveaways, meme coin calls. We've been very active and a lot of great kind of trade ideas during the slow time in crypto. So if you're not already in there, definitely check that out. And then obviously for Loco, him and I have been doing these streams for about what fucking 8 or 9 months now. Love this guy. Like you heard, streams a lot of great insight coming from him. So definitely check out his Twitter as well as Bridge Three Labs. But for Loco, tell them a little bit about what you got going on and where they can find you and stuff as well.
Yeah, look, I love doing the streams, and I think before we got together, I used to write a lot, whether it was my group or I had a newsletter, which, by the way, now I started a new one called on Substack. You can find it on my X, and I'm going to be starting to write more often. Something I really enjoy doing aside from these streams, where I will give my views on crypto, macro, and as well as energy and AI, which is a sector that I'm comfortable of, and I've spent probably a decade of my career um, doing. Right, so those are the three intersections. I think crypto, energy, and AI. I will focus on this newsletter, and then aside from that, we have a group of investors and entrepreneurs and Web3. We got together in 2022 called Bridge Street Labs, and we have an NFT that is one that I have here in my PFP, but there's another 999 NFTs like these you can buy if you want to take a look at it on Ethereum or Magic Eden. They're trading, and it gives you access to our pretty much our platform where we share trade ideas, thoughts, and to network with other individuals in the space. So that's pretty much it, and really focus on these streams and really having fun and getting to know all of you guys and kind of like really navigating this environment with you, whether it was a bear market or a bull market. We're here every week, so thanks everyone.
Hell yeah, wise. Good point. Good point. Somebody asked where's Bra. Bra last second had to do something, but he'll be on next week with us. Definitely check out him in the bio as well. In the caption, shoot him a follow. What's up, Mike? Good to see you, bro. He says updated QVC. Interesting. I haven't really thought. Yeah, look up live shopping. It's already big in China. Billions of dollars in China for a while. It's essentially just like people buy stuff through sponsorships from their favorite social media thing. Now social media or influencers or whatever businesses are going to be direct to consumer through these apps, where instead of having to buy through their website, whatever, they're going to be live selling it to you right there, and you can buy directly through the app. Also, just like live streaming with IRL live streamers, like those guys, it just creates this environment and interaction like you never been able to have before. Being able to buy whatever product directly through your favorite influencer, streamer, or whatever, while also having that interaction kind of to be able to talk to them and all that cool stuff. So yeah, I think it's another cool thing to pay attention to. What are your thoughts on XRP and Sweatcoin? I think XRP goes way higher. It has that kind of combination of the institutional narrative and then kind of these normie crowd. Shout out to Deck, shout out to Wonka, shout out to everybody with these great questions today. 2 streams a week, let's go. Yeah, we want to do a Twitter space. We've been talking about that for a while. I think we're going to implement that soon. I think Fur had to go maybe. Um, but implement maybe a Twitter space as well. Let us know if you guys would fuck with that as well, and as well as the stream being able to bring up people so you guys can ask questions. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in as well. But as well as let me see here. Send me the thing and I'll pull it up here in a second. Glad I could be here today. Like the graphic if you could. Missed my first live in months last week. Yeah, no, I noticed you weren't there, Ember man. You're a huge part of the fucking show. So when you're not here, it's evident. No, I hope you're doing well, bro. Hope you had a good week. Dex Mooner says about Mr. B's tweet about becoming ex CEO in the coin. What are your thoughts? I don't really have many thoughts on the coin. I think it came down. I don't know what he's doing. I know Jakey, Soul Jakey, and a few others actually got messages back from Mr. Beast to be involved in some huge collaboration he's doing, but I don't know what relation that has to the coin, if anything. Wouldn't it be gnarly if it did have something to do with crypto? But I kind of doubt it. Been a while, Bren. How you doing? How you doing, Saran Nader? I'm completely butchering that, but I'm doing well, man. How you doing? Let me know how you're doing. Yo, Brent, can you see what James Wynn's doing? I looked there in a second. I don't know. Did he place another long? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have too big of an opinion on that. Appreciate the kind words, brother. Yeah, no worries. You'll see me here a lot. Shout out to you, man. And I am gonna do a giveaway at the end of the stream to people who in the comments of the tweet, the stream tweet, this one right here. Oh, oops. The original stream tweet. So, and then a somebody in the comments, in the chat here in a little bit as well. Yeah, I'll pull it up in just a sec. But yeah, Bitcoin moving up short a little bit here. I think we're going to see a bottom, and then if it hasn't already happened right now, and wouldn't be surprised to see it shift up here to kind of to end the week, kind of to end the week. So yeah, Bitcoin moving up, pump moving up. I'm bullish on that, and then I think the memes. Oh wow, pump is really fucking moving now. Let's go, let's fucking go. But yeah, I think the memes. I would just be patient right now. A lot of people are freaking out. I think there's a lot of Jesse. There's a lot of feedback on your thing. If you can mute. Um, sorry, I was just talking to my producer and my buddy. But pump is moving up hard. I would just be patient here, guys, for the memes, alts. Just because Bitcoin's at 120K doesn't mean these other things aren't going to move. I think they are going to move here shortly, just like we saw in 23 and 24. Not everything moves at once, but Bitcoin moving up is going to create big runs in these coins, and it's just a matter of time. So I'm still super bullish in the SPX, Gigas, Mogs, Fart coins, ticker Bitcoin, kind of like USDUC, Housecoin, a few of these others that I think are really set up to just have massive runs. We already say SPX already ran, Pengu's already run. I think all the other great coins. I don't think we're going to see everything run. I mean, we might. This is a good coin. I think we are going to see an alt season, but I think we can definitely count on SPX, Giga. Giga might be the nicest one set up right now at only 150 million, still 179 mil in this nice consolidation of like 4 months. I think Giga rips to the upside here soon. I think ticker Bitcoin probably rips to the upside here soon. And I mean, these are the coins again, time and time again, that aren't quote unquote cool to a lot of people on crypto Twitter outside the core communities. But I think these are the ones that are just going to absolutely not only go to the multiple billions, but go to like 2, 5, 10 billion possibly because of the supply dynamics and all this good shit that we talk about. So I don't know why we're ticker Bitcoin. Yeah, ticker Bitcoin, another one. I think this probably goes to a billion. I like FWOG. A few of them are just really setting up nicely here. So whether it's these ones that I talk about, or whatever you're in, whatever your coin is, that's been around for a bit. I think just accumulating and just being patient is just the move right now. That's what I'm doing. I have a lot of money in these core coins. I really believe in them. They're the biggest chunk of my portfolio, kind of these meme coins between 100 million and a billion. 25, 30% of my portfolio is in that right now because I think that's just the best bang for your buck in crypto in general right now. So, yeah, just being patient. I think these are going to have their run soon. And I think we're entering a period where it's going to be a lot of fun for the people who are locked in and who are staying optimistic and yeah, just shout out to all you guys who stayed on these streams and fucking around and still hanging out with us, despite not a lot going on. Those are the biggest times wins I've ever had has come during times where I put a lot of work in during quiet times. So what's up, C chart reader? Appreciate the alphas. Always appreciate you, bro. Moy says East looking good. What do you think? Yeah, I think East looking great, bro. Pump to 20. Yeah, I think pump's going to 10 billion pretty quickly. What about ETH and Sol? I think ETH and Sol, like we talked about earlier, are going to go way higher. Giga most undervalued. Yeah. Pump. Yeah, Pump is going fucking nuts. Tell me if you guys bought in the chat. Definitely talked about it all on Twitter yesterday. In the Telegram, literally like the bottom here. I had this, as you guys can see here, like drawn out. Dude, like I don't like to fucking toot my own horn sometimes, especially when it comes to like these macro, like the lines are just guidelines, right? Like they're not meant to be like perfect, but I mean, look how fucking perfect this entry was. Literally, if you look at where the line was drawn right here compared to where it came down, like literally to the fucking T. It's just nice. Of course, it's just like who cares? It's not a huge deal, but it's just nice to get kind of quote unquote perfect entries on stuff like this. And I mean, shout out to everybody who's in pump right now. I think this thing's going way higher. Not financial advice, of course. Don't go max long at the top here because anything that we could see a lot of volatility. But I think it's just getting started for pump. I think it was one of the most no-brainer plays. Again, we saw most people on crypto Twitter just really have apathy to it, not even like hating it, not loving it, just not talking about it at all. And for that reason, I mean, I'm just super bullish. I think we're going to start to see a lot of people get FOMO into it as they realize, oh fuck, this thing is going up. Um, so yeah, I'm bullish on pump, bullish on bullish on Bitcoin going up here soon. Yeah, I'm just bullish as fuck on the next several years. I think you'd be crazy not to. Just don't fall into the trap of most crypto Twitter, like just getting negative just because price is going down the last few days. Really, you gotta dig deeper. ETH, Sui, AVAX, Sol, Bull Bags, yeah. NFT floor prices are on the rise. What's cooking? I like VFriends a lot. Like that's my biggest bet. But wonky stonks. I think the apes, the pudgies, the mutants, the Azuki will all do well. Can't bet against the can't bet against the Jews. Sonic. I bought Pump and Son yesterday. Fuck yeah. GG's on catching that bottom. Shout out to you, Soul. Love you. You're him. Bullish on Brand. Bullish on Soul for sure. Definitely check out Soul if you haven't already. Rojam says, "Can you please share the chart?" Still, yeah. Thank you, Rojam. You're always on top of it, bro. Bullish on Sonic. Yeah, I'm bullish on Sonic too. Bitcoin dominance losing a lot for alts. Yes, Bitcoin dominance is going to move. I think it probably will move down. I think we talked about this a bit. I think total three is really the best chart to look at, which kind of is the total Bitcoin market cap minus. Wow, it is in free fall. Total three is Bitcoin. It's the total crypto market cap minus Bitcoin and ETH, which kind of gives us a gauge on how the total altcoin market's doing. But I mean, dude, Bitcoin dominance is falling off a fucking cliff. If it can get below 60, I think this might be a at least a top for the time being, for quite a while. So, um, wow, 1,600 viewers throughout the stream here, whatever, throughout this time. Shout out to you guys. Like I said, we will be back on Friday. Going to definitely keep improving the entertainment value and the quality of the stream. Going to throw up the FaceTime face cam here soon, probably by the end of the month. I think it's time. I'm really bullish on Thread Guy's thesis. Are just very few people in crypto are willing to throw their face. Like I mean, understandably, but I think I don't know. I think it's time. I've been in the industry for a while. Don't need to make a huge deal out of it, but yeah, definitely gonna have the NFT, PFP, and stuff as well too. But definitely add the FaceTime on the cam and the content and all of that. So respect the people who choose to keep anonymous and the people who don't. I think there's going to be a good mix of both in the industry, and kind of like having the NFT, PFP, and having the quote unquote persona or the name Bren, but also showing some of my real life and fucking the face cam at least and stuff. So shout out to all you guys. Are you going to the gym later? Good question, brother. I'm actually going to the gym right after this. Gonna actually leave the house here at 3:15. So gonna hop off here in the next 5 minutes or so. Love you, Brand, as always. Love you, Wonka. Love you, Dex Mooner. Love you, Mole. Wonka. This is now my class. Shout out to you, bro. Can't wait. Can't wait for your face reveal. Brand looks sexy for sure. Uh, um, but you're funny, Sajad. I don't know. No haircut. No, yeah, I actually got a haircut on what's it called? On last stream, right? Tuesday, Friday. Will you do your personal on your Instagram? Yeah, like I said, I'll have the NFT, PFP, and stuff like that, but definitely will nothing too crazy, right? But yeah, I'll definitely have some stuff like that on the Instagram, but um to the clips. Uh, Also, before I forget, my let's see, the I'm gonna go ahead and post this on Twitter too. But for the people who are still on this right now, let me go ahead and share my entire screen. Um, we are gonna do something for those of you guys know who are you probably watch streams. You're in this, everybody knows clips are kind of everything now is streaming. It's not so much about the live viewers. I think this stream is really heavy on like the live viewers and the chat and stuff, but mostly overall, like clips are everything nowadays. So I want to make something an incentive for both, like kind of a giveaway and a way to give back some money to everybody on here, but also a way to get clips out there. So I'm going to start a contest here where you guys can clip and post any of these clips, anything you found interesting from the stream or you think other people find interesting. Clip and post and tag at Bren Trades myself and hashtag Bren Clips. And every week, I'll go ahead and pick a $200 USDC winner that I find the most interesting or whatever. I'll pick it for various reasons. Probably most interesting, got the most viewers, whatever it may be for that certain week, the one I like the most, and then a few, maybe two or three $50 runner ups as well. So again, it's just a way for you guys maybe to earn a little bit of USDC, for us to give back to everybody in here, as well as get some clips up there, and get this stream out here to more people. Because I think there's really just lacking good streams in crypto, and we like to do a lot of informational or analysis and stuff like that in here and talk about the stuff. But I want to make this the one-stop shop where people can come and hang out and not only talk about analysis but have fun and do cool stuff as well. So I want to get this stream out here to more people as we progress, and hopefully, God willing, improve the stream for you guys and all that. So if this is something you want to participate in, I'll definitely shoot me a DM, as well as I'm gonna go ahead and probably post it on Twitter. But if you're in here right now, you want to take initiative, you can go ahead and clip anything of the stream here today, that you found interesting, and I'll go ahead and retweet it and comment on it most likely as well. So just something we're going to introduce, and let me know if that's something you guys like, as well. Never seen your face before. Yeah, nobody has, bro. No, I'm just playing. There's definitely some people I've met. Let me, yeah, my bad. Relax, relax. Turn off, mute your mic. Let me see. Underrated stream. Thanks, Dex. We're gonna hit 10K here with Bren Clips. Fuck yeah. Why is it not showing? Are we still live? I don't know. It looks different on the right. I don't know if I'm tripping. Um, oh no, it's just never mind. It's fine to use AI. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you want to do, whatever you think looks cool. Again, I think a lot of it, the most effective is just with subtitles and stuff. But be creative. Yeah, we're definitely open to anything. I want to see what you guys can cook up, and any clips are appreciated. So yeah, definitely be creative. We're still live. Okay, perfect. Yeah, if you guys could, before we log off again, if you're just hopping into the stream, we're just kind of wrapping up here. Talked about pump coin, talked about Bitcoin, talked about NFTs, talked about crypto week in Congress, and a lot of other cool shit. So definitely run it back if you the recording if you didn't if you missed it. We will be back on Friday at 10 a.m. PST to talk more. And if you guys have any suggestions, anything you want to hear, any guests you want to see on the stream, if you think you have an interesting story, whatever you want to come on the stream yourself, definitely shoot me a DM. Love to hear all the feedback. And with that, just be more fucking bullish, guys. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm not just a perma bull just to be the sake of be to play a character, be a perma bull. I think right now is just a no fucking brainer to be bullish on great digital assets, both crypto, fungible coins, and NFTs. Even companies, what's it called, treasury companies, all that good stuff. There will come a time where maybe stuff is overblown, where I will be honest and say, I think it is a time to take profits, stuff like that. But I don't think we're anywhere near that right now, and I think it's just a no fucking brainer to be bullish on these great assets. And the people who have remained bullish and not sweated the small things, and who haven't freaked out because Bitcoin's down for a few weeks or a few months, those are the people that win and actually print the most quote unquote generational wealth. The people who are loud, the loud minority, those people that like talk about the daily runner method and stuff like that. I'm telling you, yes, there's people who do make it with that, but I'm telling you, your best shot at making it, from what I've seen for myself and others, is just buying and holding great assets and just being patient. So shout out to everybody who's doing that. Shout out to everybody who bought Pump off the call on Twitter, or just bought it themselves and is enjoying the ride. I think Pump goes way higher. I think Bitcoin goes way higher, and I think the industry is just fucking getting started. So with that, guys, I have to go and get a haircut. Could you resume why Pump should be a 10 out? Oh yeah. So real quickly, we went over it earlier. Definitely go check out the recording. But real quickly, Trench, I think it's a combination of a few things. I think the launch that they did, where they're not airdropping a ton, where they did a nice smooth launch with the corrective chart behavior, that it was out of the gate, as well as the biggest thing is probably great crypto conditions that it's going into with Bitcoin very strong, as well as Alon. Definitely go check out a few clips or interviews with him. Has a very strong like visionary, and really wants to, at least has a vision to make Pump Fund this bigger thing. And the fact that they have the biggest revenue moneymaker in crypto, and have all of this endless revenue and stuff at their disposal. I'm just super bullish on that, and we're already seeing the buybacks happen. I think this is going to continue. I think they're going to try to make a push for the streaming, and I think we see Pump Fund token as a result at 10 to probably 20 plus $billion if they're able to really do things the right way, right? So with that, like I said, I'm taking a bit of profits at on the way up at 10, but from there, we'll reevaluate, see how price action is, and I think it probably moves higher than that though. But yeah, with that, great question, Trench. I definitely have to go ahead and get to the gym. But with that, I'll go ahead and see you on Friday, and hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Love you guys. Peace.